Now from Atlanta News First Plus, this is Sports Tonight.
When Ellie's on something, it's all good.
Here we go.
Are we good
All
now?
right.
Well, hopefully people can hear us now. So let me do that again. Welcome to Sports Tonight
Oh
here
my
on a
gosh.
Thursday.
Is this a third take?
That's okay. However many it takes. All right. Welcome to Sports Tonight here on a Thursday. I'm sports producer Scott Pennyman. Here with the great Emily Gagnon. Emily, once again, how are you?
People are starting to celebrate the weekend early.
I sort of got that feel today. When I was out on the road, and there seems to be a lot of traffic, a lot of people going. I think people are heavily anticipating the Memorial Day weekend. I'm smelling food in the air right now.
Yeah.
Okay, this is it's kind of crazy. So, but it's good though. Good weather outside, and everyone's getting ready for the Memorial Day weekend, which is the unofficial start of summer. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, let's do it to it.
All right, so you know when you start getting to summer, what comes after the summer, then you got training camp later, so then that brings up football, right? So
I told Ellie yesterday, Scott, that we're going to be drinking pumpkin spice lattes here in like a second.
that's
Because, like the year has gone by that fast.
that's some October type material, right?
But you're talking about training camp, and like now they release it basically in August.
Pumpkin spice lattes?
Yes, this is a thing.
That I just get like a 50-degree feel with leaves falling when I'm thinking
Yeah.
about pumpkin spice lattes.
That happens in August now. And
okay,
that's when
well,
training
look.
camp happens too.
Okay, well, look.
Get back to your thought.
I guess we don't get too far ahead of ourselves here. I mean, right now we're still in OTAs for the Falcons, and the players sort of getting acquainted with their new assistant coaches. A lot of, obviously, with the coaching change, Raheem Morris brought in a lot of new coaches, kept some of the old ones, but brought in a lot of new coaches. I like the field the staff has. It looks like they have a lot of innovative minds, on this staff. I mean, yesterday I was out there talking to a bunch of assistant coaches. Obviously, there's some holdovers like Jerry Gray, who's a very hardcore football dude when you talk to him, man, you know. And like offensive coordinator Zach Robinson, and then you have defensive coordinator, just a lot of new faces, Emily.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I like this staff so far, okay? And we need new ideas in Flowery Branch, and I think that's exactly what Raheem Morris and his staff are bringing. What's been happening is not working, so let's hope that it's true, right? So let's hope that this time around, these ideas are going to work. I liked yesterday how you were talking about, their quote-unquote new ideas for Kyle Pitts. I mean, listen, there are no new ideas for a tight end in the NFL, but I think it's bringing out the best in a player.
Right. I mean,
that are the new tactics, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean new to the NFL. Like, you aren't going to innovate ways to get the ball to the tight end. I mean, you could. I mean, there's, there have been coaches who have been able to do that, but right. I mean, when I say new, I mean new for the Falcons. I mean, things that we haven't seen yet. I mean, when you think about Kyle Pitts, right? He hasn't been unleashed yet. I mean,
It's wild, right?
I just kind of feel like in the first 3 years of Kyle Pitts, I mean, that I've seen, it just seems like that there's so much there that they haven't taken advantage of. He seems so versatile. I mean, you just look at the different ways throughout the years, like in New England. When you watch the Patriots play, how they use Gronk so many different ways. Back when they had Gronk and Aaron Hernandez and those sort of, they were able to have so many different imaginative ways to get them the football. When you look at the Kansas City Chiefs play, and you look at how they use Travis Kelce, they're able to do a lot of different things to get Travis Kelce the football. We just haven't seen those things with Kyle Pitts. And when you look at his physical tools and physical skills, he has more maybe than some of those guys who have had big seasons. So I'm looking for one of those just crazy 100-plus catch seasons for over 1,000 yards, 10 to 12 touchdown seasons from Kyle Pitts. And I think now that they have a quarterback to be able to facilitate that, we might see it.
I want to see it. Bring it on. Listen, his I was gonna say his freshman year, but his rookie year, his rookie year, over 1,000 yards, and I know he wasn't scoring the touchdowns people wanted to see, but he was catching the ball.
Yeah.
So you want to see that again, and you hope that that injury that he suffered that ended his season, is done and he's healthy.
I'll tell you what, Zach Robinson, the offensive coordinator, he's going to be the first guy that we're going to hear from here.
Can't
he
wait.
talked a lot about that. He talked a lot about he just really hopes that this is the year that they get the most out of Kyle Pitts. I mean, and not just Kyle Pitts, Drake London and those guys too, but really Kyle Pitts just because he's been here the longest out of that trio. And I think I just got the feel just talking to Zach that even he thought that he has not been fully taken advantage of as of yet.
Yeah.
So let's talk to the assistant coaches here and just sort of get a look at some of those innovative minds.
So tell me a little bit about what the last few weeks have been like in terms of install and getting guys. I know y'all can't go 100% fairly early live, but what's kind of the acclimation process been like for this offense?
It's been great. We've obviously started with the foundation of everything right when these guys got here, which now it seems like it's been 6 months, but we've got a lot of good work in. Obviously being able to hit the field and do this stuff live on the grass with the guys has been awesome, but it's been a slow build, just that's the way we kind of designed it. Wanted to make sure that we're teaching it incrementally and where it's digestible for these guys. So they've done a great job. We have so many smart players and they're so into it. They all love ball, and so it's been cool to see the stuff that we're talking about in the classroom show up on the field. They're playing fast, they're playing decisive, they're getting more comfortable with how we're calling things and how we're doing it. It's a completely different system, and so the guys have done a great job, and it's a testament to how great job the coaches are doing, coaching in their individual position rooms, and then the players just being able to study on their own and stay up on their stuff, and it's been cool to see it all come together. We've still got a couple good weeks before we break for the summer.
When it comes to obviously quarterback stuff, we have to talk about it because it's the most important position, but with Kirk Cousins, he was talking a couple weeks ago, and he said, my favorite part of this whole offseason stuff has been sitting in the film room, watching film with the guys. What are kind of some of his traits as you're watching film with him that he displays?
Yeah, he's incredibly cerebral. He's seen so many different looks. He's got great recall. He can recall things from, when he had Clint Kubiak as his offense coordinator, and then obviously recently with O'Connell, and he can kind of, take some of those things that he's had with Kevin the last couple of years, apply it to what we're doing here. There's still some new stuff, so he's just still learning a few new things, but you see right away how well he sees defenses. Hey, what if we put this on this? And he just sees the game in such a great way. That is why he's been such a good player for a long time. But he's been great in there. He loves it. I mean, he's so detailed with everything he does as you guys get to know him and see. So it's been a lot of fun to just hear his perspective on it, because every quarterback, you're in different quarterback rooms and there's different perspectives that all these guys have, which is what makes them good. So he's been a blast to be around, and it's just been a lot of fun to work with him.
How well versed was Kirk in the offense already? Because it was pretty similar where he was in
Very similar, yeah. Kevin, O'Connell took from the Rams, obviously, and did a lot of the same things. We're kind of in a combination, between what they've done here in the run game and some different things and what we've done with the Rams. And so it's been a good combination to where Kirk's having to stay up with it, and there is some new information with it. So it's been a good collaboration with all the coaches across the board, and Kirk's got, he knows everything because we've installed it, but there was definitely still some learning with some new things.
How nice is it to have someone who already has at least a little bit of an idea of what you're talking about?
Oh, it's great. I mean, as a first time, this is, my first time doing it, and so having the comfort of a veteran quarterback like Kirk that's coming from this system, couldn't ask for anything better.
Zach, kind of bouncing off of that question, learning a new offensive scheme can be challenging, certainly for players. I remember when Kyle Shanahan was here, Matt Ryan talked about it, kind of took it first year to kind of master the system. Same with Steve Sarkisian. As a guy who's actually played too, how difficult is it to sort of learn a new scheme and get it to where you really want to get it to where what you want it to be,
Sure.
instead of learning it kind of on the fly?
No, that's a great question, and that's everybody's different, and that's going to be hopefully where we can all get to a point. We're going to break for the summer. Those guys are going to go off on their own, still study and still work out and be ready, and then hopefully once we hit training camp, we hit the ground running. These guys, like, we're just preaching, just play fast, no matter what, play fast. And so I think guys are getting that, but is it going to take? Is one guy going to, peak when we're ready to start the season? Is one guy might take a little bit longer? Everybody's going to be a little bit different. But in order to truly master a system for a quarterback, I mean, you probably feel better going into year 2. Like you're talking about Mike, like going into year 2 next year, like that's going to be way different than how he feels right now, where Kirk has already mastered the system. And so there's definitely, with each player it's different, but I know from a quarterback standpoint, that second year in the system, you definitely feel pretty good.
When it comes to working with Kyle Pitts specifically, picked up the 5th-year option, and over he talked a lot about how much belief that there is in the building about what he can do. When you were looking at what this offense could be, and now having the chance to work with Kyle day-to-day, what most excites you about his potential?
Everything. There's so much in there. Obviously you guys see the athletic traits and what he can do when the ball's in the air, what he can do with the ball in his hands. I'm excited about him as a blocker. I think that's untapped, and he's willing and he wants to do it. He wants to be a complete tight end, which has been what he's preached from the jump. And so seeing him make those strides, seeing what Koger and Patrick Kramer have done in that room with him has been awesome. But he has so much flexibility with what he can do as even an inline blocker, and then he's split out wide, and then he's there's a lot of versatility. So he's done a great job. He's learning basically 2 different positions, because there's some tight end and there's some receiver, and so he's got a lot on his plate, and he's handled it really well. And so just excited to see him continue to get more comfortable in the system, and the sky's the limit for what kind of season he can have.
That versatility that he has, how do you envision kind of using a guy like that, Kyle?
Yeah, I think a number of different ways. We're scripting practice for tomorrow, and there's just like, oh, what if we did this? What if we did this? So I mean, it's really, your mind can go in a lot of different directions with somebody like that in a good way. So we'll move him around the formation. We'll use him as a blocker. We'll use him as a receiver. We'll use him all across the board. So that's something that a lot of these guys possess too, with Bijan and Drake and Mooney and Charlie Warner. That's the versatility of the group is what's really exciting.
The season hasn't quite.
First of all, again, with my history of being a head football coach and also being on the offensive side of the ball,
right.
You always want an explosive offense that can score points, because the best defense is the defense that's sitting on the sideline as we're watching our offense go up and down the field, and or they're out there and they're taking a lot of snaps off of us. And so when you see the big picture like that, I'm very excited about the pieces that we have on offense, but I'm also very excited about the pieces that we have on defense. I'm excited about the defenses that are returning, but also the guys we've added in the draft and also free agency.
And how do you feel just about what you have at the edge? I know that was an area that is seen as an area that you can be stronger at.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited. I think we got some big, powerful guys, guys with good length, good size, that are going to be matchup problems. Now we're not there yet. We got to continue to work and get these guys better at their techniques and understanding the scheme. But I'm really excited about that room.
Coach, it seems like you guys are kind of reworking, obviously spring the draft, reworking the defensive line, getting some nice long athletic pieces. Just kind of talk about what that can do for a defense to be able to have,
Yeah, for sure. I've said this for a while, but I said this years ago. In boxing, there's a reason why they don't let the heavyweight fighters fight the lightweight fighters, because usually the heavyweight fighter is gonna get the best of them. And so, defensively, if we can get guys with good size, good length at all 3 levels of the defense, I think that's gonna be a huge bonus. And you see what we've added in free agency. We've added length, size, and through the draft, length and size. And now we just got to develop these guys, teach these guys our schemes, but really excited about the pieces that we have.
It seems like Coach was talking about yesterday, probably one of the things you'll lean on the most is that experienced secondary, right? I mean, with Jesse back there and guys like Dawson's been there for a few years now. You have to be pretty confident knowing the fact you have guys back there who've been around for a little bit.
We do. We have a lot of experience at all 3 levels. You look at our linebackers; they played a lot of football. You look at Grady Jarrett and D.O. David Onyemata play a lot of football, and I really feel like at all three levels, there's experience. There's things that they've done well, and they know things that they can correct. It's been awesome watching these guys, learn this defense and ask great questions, and then go out there and learn from their mistakes, and also do things at a high level. And you can just see they're just stacking blocks every single day. I'm excited to get to training camp and get this thing rolling.
Last few years, defensively, maybe had not been the greatest at being able to get to the quarterback. So when you think about, what you have and what you brought in, what sort of ways do you think you guys will be able to generate more pressure?
Yeah, I think it's always key, and it's not just the guys up front; it's also the coverage in the back end as well. It's got to work hand in hand, and when you can play great coverage and the quarterback can't get rid of the ball, that's going to buy an extra time for whoever's rushing to go get the quarterback. And it's not just going to be on the edge players and the tackles. We're going to have other guys going after the quarterback. That could be a nickel, it could be a linebacker, it could be a safety, it could be a corner. And those are things like schematically that we're doing right now to make sure to give us some extra things that we would need to put pressure on the quarterback.
Anytime you got leadership, a guy who can actually, go in and talk about the room, talk about how he wants the room to look, and then everybody else kind of fall in line, it becomes very easy as a coach. Your job is to get the guys information, and it's their job to go out there and play. And I think Jesse and AJ and those guys are taking that leadership role. Rod come in, he'll kind of challenge the guys about what are you thinking, what are we doing here? And then those guys give him answers. And I think that's what we're trying to do to get everybody on the same page. And, hey, you guys go lead. And once it's player-led, you become a lot better football team.
So you go with a couple different staffs now. Just kind of talk about the difference between the previous and how things are now.
Well, I mean, to me, it's different. Like I said, I was new last year, to a staff that already had been established for 2 years. And then, being held over from last year to this year, you see Ryan's energy, you see Ryan all the rooms. Basically he kind of talks to guys about what he wants them to be. They may not be there yet, but he's putting something in their brain of this is where I want you to be. And to me, it's more like you're getting the guy to picture himself way better than what he may see himself as. So to me, in the offseason, I think he's doing a fantastic job of getting the picture that he wants the players to be. And then all of a sudden, when it happens, it's not a surprise to you. And to me, I see that, from what Rye's actually doing.
Coach talked about how detailed things are in that secondary room when you guys are going through things. He said with him being an old secondary guy, it's kind of hard for him to want to stay out and let you do your thing. But just kind of talk about, kind of just that alone and just kind of how Coach Morris does this thing.
Well, it's always that. To me, I've been fortunate enough to be around the league to have 3 different head coaches that have been DB coaches. So I'm not a stranger to that. And I know when Rod comes in the room, you kind of see that he has that same edge that Pete Carroll had, that Jeff Fisher had. And all those guys are really, really great at what they do. So, but what I like about them, no matter who they are, they let you do your job. And it's like, hey, I hired you to do a job. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to listen to you. And I don't want you uncomfortable, but I want you to do your job. And I think that's the thing that Justin and myself and Lance is doing, is that we go in and he may bounce the ideal off, but he's letting us do our job. And I think that's a sign of a great head coach who has coached that position, who really want to get in there and do that job. And they're like, nope, I hired you to do that job. I'm going to let you do it.
Coach, just talking with Jimmy, he talked about wanting to keep the defensive terminology fairly simple for guys, that they're not thinking too much out there on the football field. Is that something that the defensive backs have kind of reiterated or kind of shown to you that, hey, they're not thinking, they're just kind of doing?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that we're trying to get our guys to, to adopt. Hey, look, what's easy for you guys? And when you tell us, we'll adopt that for you. But a lot of times, guys, when you got a new staff, you're kind of afraid. And that's a good thing that, having Jesse, AJ, Mike, and all those guys who've been here from last year, they're not afraid to ask questions. And I think that's what makes the young guys even better. Like, okay, if they're asking questions, I can do the same thing. So we ask them questions. You give us the stuff that you want us to do, and we'll go implement it. We'll talk to Jimmy about it. If they want to do it, fine. If they don't, at least you ask, and they gave us some questions.
Gotcha. And you just mentioned a second ago, but how difficult is it kind of going from coaching staff to a different coaching staff and learning that new terminology to where, it is a new defensive scheme, but you kind of want to keep some familiarity there with the guys so that they're not too confused out there?
Not really. Players are used to that. I think, coming from college to high school to college to the pros, they're kind of used to making adjustments. And then even coaching staffs, they know that one guy leaves, another guy come in, they're going to do their stuff. The hardest part is for coaches, more like myself, who was held over, and now I got to go learn a new system. And so I'm more of a grinder. I'll write everything out and do that and say, okay, this is what you want. So I'll ask Jimmy, I'll ask Rye, I'll ask Justin, is this what you want? Then you know what? Once we do that, we'll go implement it in our room. So I'm conscious of what they want first before I take it to the players.
Gotcha. And apologies if you've already been asked this
No,
question.
you haven't.
But talking about the secondary specifically, we all know what AJ can do, we know what Jesse can do, but what are some of the things that maybe some people may not know about the secondary right now? Some guys who may be flying under the radar in Europe?
Just like Justin was talking about, we got Mike Hughes, who I thought I knew Mike in Minnesota, and then he's been around, and all of a sudden he's coming back, and he looks like that guy that was at Minnesota. D. Alford, I think D. Alford is taking another step. You look at we got another young kid who you guys probably hadn't seen, but we call him AJ too because his name is AJ, so we put a little 2 with it so they don't get confused. But I think he's going to be a good football player. We got a couple of young guys that was here last year. And then you look at our safeties, we got DeMarco, who came from Alabama. I think he's stepping up. Him and Richie doing a great job. So those guys know that they're competing, but they're competing in a way to where we're going to get better at it. We're not competing against each other. We're competing to be the best secondary in the league, and that's kind of what the standard that those guys really want to set.
Let's talk a little bit more about D, too. He's a guy that came in a couple years ago, kind of grinded his way up, and now seemingly he's going to have a bigger role this year. Just talk about his climb to where he's at now, and where do you think he can go from here?
Well, D reminds me of a guy that we had in Green Bay. Like the last time, Keyshawn Nixon, good football player. He really hadn't done a lot, and then all of a sudden you get thrown on the scenes. And, he started coming in early, getting film, understanding what he's supposed to do. So the first year he was okay. Then last year I thought Keyshawn took a big step under Justin. And then D, this is his second year. You need to take that next step. And the way you take it is not going to be running faster. It's going to be using your brain faster. And I think that's what the step that he's doing right now. We talked to him a lot about you are the quarterback of the defense, so act that way. And you know what? Make those calls and put everybody else in better position to make their plays. So really what that does is challenge him to know what everybody else is doing. And now you can't just be.
All right, always good to hear from the coaching staff, right?
I think
what are you guys doing over there?
I know. One of our coworkers, Terry, was all up in here, and now he wants to run away.
This is major television here. I don't know what.
This production.
It was major production here. Anyway, obviously the Atlanta Hawks coming up have the #1 overall pick in the 2024 NBA draft. Right now, the favorite to go #1 overall is Alex Sarr, the big man from France, who went to Overtime Elite, which is pretty much within walking distance of where we're at right now.
We could literally walk there without a sweat.
Right, nice day, nice. Well, I'm gonna sweat because I sweat all the time. So, it's just I don't know why, but I do. But yeah, so I've been over there plenty of times. Alex Sarr spent 2 years at Overtime Elite, having his skills developed and everything. And right now, he has a really good chance to go #1 overall. Guys like Damian Wilkins, who the general manager of Overtime Elite, has very high praise for the 7-footer from France, and he thinks that he has all the tools to go #1 overall.
I would just say I think OTE did for Alex what it's done for a lot of our guys that's been here and a lot of our guys that's currently here, right? I think we've developed an audience for them. That's first and foremost, but we also have developed them into amazing professional young men, right? And then when it comes to the basketball part that everyone will talk about, I think we just shown them all the things that they need to be better at. A lot of guys come here and they're highly touted already, so they have this young mind attitude towards basketball and that they know it all already and that they're good enough until they get into this kennel that I like to call it with other dogs. And you find out what you're not good at. You find out the things that you need to work on. You find out the ways that you need to improve your body, your mind around basketball, the basketball IQ. And, you know, it's just this environment itself is an iron sharpened iron environment. So every day you're standing next to someone, or you're practicing against someone, or you're on a team with someone who is either just as good as you or better than you. And it shows you quickly the level that you need to get to be where you're trying to get to. For Alex, when he came here, he already had the talent. Like I told Alex when he got here, I thought he was #1 pick talent. Like I know LeBron, this is not LeBron talking, not LeBron. They got the thing about him always being prophetic. Like I literally told him that he has #1 pick talent. And I saw it in him with his versatility. I saw it in him with his size. And, you know, it's just recently retiring from the game myself, it was just, you could see where the game is going. It's going to that long, talented, that long, athletic, versatile type of guys, and Alex kind of fits that mold. So, and then you see the success of Wembanyama last year. Like that is the mold that people are trying to find right now, and he has all of those tools.
Do you think though that will almost kind of, we were talking about it, like be a comparison for him all the time though, like Wemby and him and that kind of stuff? Like how can he differentiate himself?
I don't think he's going to be able to avoid that comparison because people like to, you know, have a narrative and they stick with it. They create that narrative, and all of a sudden that's the narrative. But for Alex, he's going to be who he is, right? Like he's not going to ever be Wembanyama, and Wembanyama's not going to ever be Alex. Alex just needs to keep focusing on improving, and whatever team selects him, hopefully the Hawks, at #1, he can go out there and just do the best job that he can for that team. And if he's doing that, then he's doing his job. He doesn't have to be Wembanyama. He needs to be the best version of Alex Sarr for whatever team he's selected for.
You mentioned the Hawks in particular.
Hey, so, you know, big Alex Sarr, look, I mean, he was developed at Overtime Elite. They feel pretty good about him. They feel pretty good about where he's at. And, you know, maybe the Hawks will swoop him up, #1 overall.
Awesome.
So talking about, you know, look, college football, right? I mean, it's such a big, obviously everyone wants a piece of the college football pie, Emily.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a big college football. So ESPN and, you know, TNT, who might be losing basketball pretty soon, has decided to dip their hat into the college football pools. They're going to broadcast some of the college football playoff. Obviously, the college football playoff expanding. So TNT is going to jump into that. And I guess what they're going to spend for that, it might cost them basketball.
Yeah, I'm into it. You know, you probably will get more viewers for those games, Scott, than you would an NBA game. Honestly, think about that.
You're probably right, honestly. You know,
and across the country as a whole, not just like the two teams that are playing and maybe a few extra NBA fans. There are way more college football fans out there watching
than
games
NBA.
Than the NBA.
I know. Yeah, I mean, because college football is crazy. I mean, it's probably behind the NFL, probably the highest grossing league out there, right? I mean, as far as what I mean, we're looking over some of those numbers, like the Big Ten and the SEC. I mean, they each brought in their football programs over $800 million. You know, so yeah, I mean, I don't blame TNT for wanting to get a piece of that pie. And last, I don't know if you caught it, but obviously we just talked about a little bit of NBA a minute ago. Bronny James, obviously, been one of the talk of the you know, LeBron James' son, has been working out for different teams. So he worked out for the Lakers the other day, and like he had like entertainers showing up, not just NBA people, a lot of people showing up just to see his pre-draft workout. Now, you just talked about those pre-draft workouts like with the Hawks and everything, and they're pretty quiet. I mean, but for this pre-draft workout, for Bronny James' pre-draft workout, it was must-see TV.
Yeah, and from what I understand, he's doing so well that he's like, you know, jumping, like skyrocketing in the draft. So do it to it, man. Like,
look,
go out there and do it. Your dad wants to play with you. He doesn't know if it's really going to happen, but if it does, that'd be
come on,
awesome.
Emily. He doesn't know if it's really going to happen.
I'm just saying. Listen, I think after that like health scare, LeBron.
Yeah.
I don't know LeBron, but I just would think as a dad that you'd be like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm just so glad to have my son here.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Puts
I mean,
things in
look.
perspective.
And I think sort of the perception about him has changed a lot. I think last few weeks he's been out front and center a little more than he was at USC, where he didn't talk to the media really at all. And now he's been front and center, showing more of his personality, showing more of his game, becoming his own man.
Yeah.
He's a real good kid. So look, hopefully that ends really well and he gets in the NBA and is able to do his thing. Well, that's Sports Tonight for this Thursday. Emily, always fun, right?
Have fun. Scott won't be here for about a week, guys. He's going to Ohio. Tears.
That's okay. I know y'all hold it down. Later.